So, all right. So, Tony's living in the cabin. Which, wow, that's fucking what a great place to live. It's beautiful out there. I don't know where they were at, but it was wonderful. He doesn't want to come back. He, of course, as Tony does, he can't leave a problem alone. So he basically invents time travel.
Well, no, he hears out what they want to do
and tells them to fuck off.
Right, and they kind of tell him what, and then he goes and figures out how it can be done.
Because he can't leave a problem alone.
His brain is just churning on it.
Yeah.
Well, that and the whole, he feels personally responsible for the Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
Yes. His own version of PTSD.
Which he's been overcompensating for with his own daughter, but now they bring it back. They're like, hey, by the way, we can save everybody. So now, of course, that's running around his head.
Right.
And they find, conveniently, the picture of him and Pete. So, yeah, and I can understand the motivations on that. I think Pepper was a little forgiving too quickly, you know?
But I think his character has always been rather intense and focused, so she knew that
eventually
this sort of very restful, peaceful state for him is kind of unnatural for Tony.
Yeah, that's not.
And that was 5 years. That's a long time.
That just happened. It's in every movie she's dealing with him.
And he left the solution up on the coffee table, and she had to at least seen it like once or twice, and like.
She's not a scientist. Yeah, you'd think. Yeah, he's like, oh, damn it.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd have been a cute scene. Had she been walking by it doing something else going, son of a bitch.
Yeah. See,
well, the comment would have been, that's new. Fuck.
Yeah.
What are you working on?
Yeah. But you can kind of almost tell the subtext when he tells her. Because she stops and goes, and you can hear in her head, I knew it.
Are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah.
When he says, I've discovered how to time travel.
Yeah. And
she had that, of course she did.
Of course she did.
Yeah. So what you going to do about it?
So now what? Yeah, and that leads to a whole other thing later on. So anyway, he figures that out. He shows it back up. Hey, we're building the team. Are we building a team, right? He makes that joke. Brings Cap the shield. Which, I'm like, at what point did he get rid of the magnetic thing for the shield that he had in Age of Ultron? I guess that must have been an older shield. I guess, I don't know. Remember, he would spin it around, it would come back to his arm automatically?
Right. Are you talking about
this
new
Age of
shield
Ultron
with the leather straps on it?
No, that's the one that we're talking about in the movie now.
Right.
But he had one that actually detached, like he had a magnet thing that brought it back. I just wondered if...
Maybe they just wanted to give it that whole old school feel, and let's get back to the...
So when they break it later.
Yeah. I like Thanos' weapon, by the way.
Oh, that double blade? That was pretty sweet. Now, I will say this, and I mentioned this when we talked about Infinity War, and Mick, I don't know if you know that. Have you read the book Thanos?
No.
Marvel put out a novelization of the prequel for it's Thanos' story, like how he ended up where he is. It's amazing. It actually adds even so much more to the character, makes him so much more of a pathos kind of thing, more of a sympathetic character than you even think of. In the movie's great enough as it is. Mm-hmm. And I think it was also interesting to see the arc of Thanos, where he basically, at the end, was like, I'm done, I'm resting, I had to destroy the stones. He's not an evil person necessarily, he's just insane, but his motivations are entirely, benign. And to destroy, and he kind of become humbled. He knew he was going to get killed. He could, even in his wounded state, he still could have wiped the floor with them. But he just stands there and lets Thor behead him. He knew it. That was his destiny. And then when he sees it later as a younger version of himself, that's my destiny. He didn't even flinch. He's like, oh, okay, that's my destiny. And somehow comes out meaner, I guess. When he makes that comment like, I was just going to kill half your planet, but now I'm going to really enjoy destroying everybody.
Yeah.
However. Okay, all right. So, they figure out the time travel thing. They decide to do a test. Now here comes the part where Paul Rudd becomes the test tube baby, literally. I don't know who pissed my pants. Might have been the old guy, might have been the baby, might have been me.
I did really like the scene with, we only have 2 shots at this.
We'll have 1 shot at this. Because that's something I'd do. Fuck!
That was perfect for him.
Paul was the audience in this movie. He was the one going, wait a minute, something doesn't right here. Or when they send him back, it's like, here's the stone, we're going to go back and get the other one. But what if you guys fuck up? We won't fuck up, don't worry about it. All right. I'll just take your word for it. They did kind of do... It seems like they were cheating a little bit because they were traveling back in time. They really did do the Bill and Ted thing where they're watching themselves or other people do things we've seen before. And at first I was kind of like, well, that's just Disney reusing footage. And then they did that great one with Quill where he's singing, and of course when we see it in Guardians, it's great. It's a great scene because we're all singing along with the song. And then to see him doing it without the music, it's just hilarious.
That was good.
This guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah, and the other one is, when Loki takes the Tesseract and goes somewhere.
yeah, that's definitely an empty thread. Well, that's how he's going to end up in his show. That's
Right,
probably
yeah.
what's going to be the
Exactly.
segue for that. So they all go on their little time heist, I guess, which really irked me a little bit the way they made it sound like Ocean's 11, which is a way cooler movie, and at least up to that point, in my opinion. But so they all wear their little suits. I can't quite figure out why they didn't just modify Tony's suit, because they modified War Machine to be the time travel suit, but of course Tony's got the nanite, so I guess it doesn't matter. He can go with both of them. But they all get in their suits, they all jump in, and we already kind of talked about Cap breaking into the S.H.I.E.L.D. base with the whole Captain versus Colonel thing. And then we've already talked about what happened with Ant-Man, and
I also have one other thing. I like how everybody can breathe oxygen in space.
yeah, I know. It's I know it irks me too. Don't get me started on that.
No, the
one.
only one person that
I
can do
noticed-
that's
I-
Captain Marvel.
Actually, I noticed that in Infinity War when Spider-Man,
He starts to lose oxygen.
well, no,
He does.
No, later in the ship where him and Doctor Strange are being sucked out
Oh yeah,
of the ship.
they're not immediately imploded.
Yeah. Like, I was like, wait, did I miss that before? And then,
Kill mode. Kill mode.
apparently no.
Yeah. So what was the other time? Oh right. Cap finds himself. Now that's going to pay off later in the Bucky show because he tells himself that Bucky's alive to get him to stop. Now they implied that it took his memories, but I don't know. Is that thing like an MIB flasher? Like, how do you actually control what you're doing? Does it take back the last few seconds or what? But he zaps him with Loki's staff, which of course has the Mind Stone in it, and erases his memory. So, we kind of get to the point where we're with Ronan and Black Widow on what's the name of the planet?
Vormir.
Morag.
No.
Morag.
No.
I was messing up with Mogo
No,
from DC
Vormir,
Comics.
no, it's Vormir is where they went. Morag is where
Red Skull.
Vormir is where Red
Vormir.
Skull.
Oh, right. You're right.
The other one's where Quill was at. No,
Quill
Vormir-
singing into the rat. Yeah.
With Nebula.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that who's the actor that plays the Ronin lackey who comes to chase after Quill in the first Guardians, but he also is in Captain Marvel.
Oh,
He plays Shazam. He plays the wizard Shazam in the Shazam movie.
it's Duke.
He's got a
no.
weird name. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But I was kind of hoping he'd show up in
Yeah,
that scene.
They said his name, but I was like, okay, where is he?
Yeah, but then nobody ever showed up.
Oh.
And how are they going to explain like Cap passed out and Peter passed out? Like how, these guys can wake up and go, all right, moving on.
Right.
Again, time travel. So I felt that the whole thing with the Red Skull and having to do the sacrifice and everything, I felt that was a little forced. I kind of almost expected Ronan to be the one to actually succeed. But then you stop and think about, well, what about his family? And it kind of makes sense that Nat would do that because she has no family. She has no children. She has no relationship with Bruce at this point. She has nothing but her friendship with him. And if he dies, what the hell is she going to do? So I kind of understand why they
And
made
she's
that decision.
renegotiating her contract, so.
True. But they did, her own movie, so they'll...
However, here's the two flaws of that. One, she self-sacrifices, which means that he did not sacrifice her. He's not giving up something that he loves the most.
That's one, yeah.
Does he love her more than he loves his wife and children?
That's the
Because it's the thing you most love.
I see a sibling relationship there. It's hard to choose between a sibling and a
because
spouse.
you would have to understand. You would have
He
to,
does.
Maybe he does.
but you
That's
have
what they're
That's
saying.
okay too.
but you have to understand the
And-
backstory that's never really fully
It's
developed.
implied.
And his
It's all
wife
implied.
And his wife and family is dead at that point.
He's been without him for 5 years,
Right.
yeah.
They don't exist. So,
But she's still there.
right.
And really, you look at his wife and you look at Scarlett, and like,
Hey, she's
You
cute.
know.
I go for the cute girl before the hot one.
oh yeah, you wouldn't bang Scarlett Johansson, would you?
No, not at all.
I might be a little intimidated. her and Gal Gadot.
I found out something interesting about Gal Gadot.
What's that?
I didn't know she was pregnant when she did Wonder Woman. The
Yes,
movie.
she was.
She was. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I found that out today.
Impressive.
It's like, wow.
That's
Because it was
impressive.
like one of the biggest Hollywood mistake costs.
What?
Mistake costs. So like it cost them way more money to hide that fact.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Costly mistakes.
I guess. Costly mistake.
Right,
This
wrong
is
universe.
my
Wrong
child. She's
universe.
5 years old now. What's her name? Costly mistake.
Hey, anti-time travel. He just said it. Wrong universe.
You know, I was gonna wear like.
Are you
go
sure
buy,
not from the
like,
DC universe?
A Batman sweatshirt for this movie and wear it too.
I wouldn't blame you. I like Batman.
That's like that great what is it? Big Bang Theory episode when they go to see Star Wars and Will Wheaton shows up dressed as Spock.
Yeah.
It's like I got to represent the home team. So anyway, so they've gotten the stones back. They've traveled through time, had all these little mini misadventures here and there. They get back. They find out Nat didn't make it. Of course, the Hulk gets bad and throws a bench. Which seems
Yeah,
really
Hulk smash.
Hulk smash. You'd think there'd be a little more smashing, but okay. They argue about what they're going to do next. So help me out here. Where are we at in the timeline? Because I'm kind of stuck at the lake. That's where I'm at.
What do you guys think about the whole memory thing between Nebula?
Oh, right, the conjoined network thing.
Yes.
They
That's
had to come-
interesting.
I thought that was kind of a cool twist.
I like
Yeah, I do too.
It's a weird Wi-Fi thing that those two had once they got connected in the same thing. That was
It was more believable than the whole time travel thing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Our Bluetooth connected. Oh, you guys are screwed now.
Back in the like the late '80s, early '90s, Timothy Zahn, who wrote the great, we met him at the con, who wrote all those great Star Wars books. Before that, he wrote a bunch of short stories, and one of them was called Distant Friends, and it was about telepaths who all knew each other because they were all connected to each other, but they couldn't get within a certain range of each other that drive themselves mad. So they had these weird relationships with all these different people around the world they could never meet in person. And I kind of felt that way when the whole Nebula thing came up. I'm like, well, she's popped into that timeline. Wouldn't the old Nebula be instantly aware of it? Wouldn't they have been aware of each other right away? And what caused... I wish they'd gone into more of what might have caused the spark between them. What happened where they became aware of each other. Where their brains went zap.
It was the cybernetic implants that she'd had in her, and I think that's what was electronically communicating.
I also think it was a little convenient that there was like one strip of electronics that was a different color. Just so that, oh, look, I'm in disguise. You know, she put that one
well,
thing
that
on her
was-
head.
Hey.
That was a later
It
upgrade.
was something
Yeah.
that was added later.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought it was a little convenient in as far as the plot was concerned, but it did kind of make sense. They had to figure out a way for Thanos. Thanos still needed to be the bad guy, even though, because really in Infinity War he's not the bad guy. He's evil and insane, but he's the protagonist of the movie. He's definitely not the protagonist of this movie. I think Tony is, but we'll get to that later. So they figure out Nebula's connected. They figure out there's a duplicate. I was wondering how they were going to bring Zaldana back. Now I can see how they did that by traveling back in time. Then we're going to kind of get into some of the math that doesn't work out for me. Like, how is it that everyone's back 5 years later, but no one's aged, and no one around them is aged, except for
The corporate.
Hawkeye, who's gotten older, and the rest of his family stayed the
That's
same
not-
age.
That's not true because Scott's a daughter did.
She aged,
Right.
that's right. But then why didn't what's his name from Spider-Man?
Because he even said so. He did you hear what he said? He said, 1 minute I was there on the planet with you, and then I started getting all fuzzy.
But I'm not talking about Peter. I'm
No.
talking about Ned.
Ned, his best friend.
Why didn't Ned age?
Because Ned died.
Ned died
Yeah,
too.
Ned.
So now,
That's the only way that made sense.
then Mary Jane died too because
Yes.
she's in the new movie with
Right.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
So all of his, or at least some of his classmates died.
So it's going to be interesting for
Or-
this whole Far Away from Home.
Yeah,
How
maybe
is that
he
going to
must have
play
died.
out?
That's true. That's true. Maybe they'll answer it then.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That all bugged me. The math just did not add up for me. I was like,
Or they were doing that before this all happens. Maybe they're going to segue back. But
it's possible, but there's
yeah.
not a lot of time. They're really tight with Spider-Man's story. Like he did his first thing in Civil War, then right during that was his movie.
So then this is going to be okay. Back to business as usual. It's been 5 years later, but I'm still 18. So
all it would take is one piece of dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's nice to be back. Yeah, we've been gone for 5 years, and then moving on.
yeah.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's probably what they're going to do.
Okay. Should be interesting. I hope they play it out in Spider-Man where you can show that they're actually 5 years ahead. I mean, think
so
about
they might have
technology.
their classmates and
Or even just something innocuous like, oh, right, they didn't have that 5 years ago. Some kind of electronic thing or some kind of Apple something. And make some gag about
Because
that.
Aunt May didn't age. Did she pass?
Yeah.
She did age.
Really?
Yeah, if you look at her, I
I'd
was
st-
like, I didn't
I'd-
even recognize her. Like when they first showed,
I'd still
Marissa
wreck
Tomei.
that
Well,
broad.
it's
I
the
was
same
like-
thing. And
Oh
did
my
you
God.
notice
Oh.
the older boy that kind of was towards the back
Yeah.
end? That was the boy that Tony Stark
Right,
in Iron Man 2.
3.
Now, wait a second.
Three.
That's
I-
who that was.
Yeah, that was the
Are
boy.
we talking about that weird guy that was standing by himself
By
at the
himself,
funeral?
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that the guy who played the clown in It? It looked like him.
I don't know.
I don't know.
No, is that it
That's
was
the
the
kid from
actual
Iron Man
boy and from Iron Man 3. Remember we had that crisis with the boy?
How did you know that? But like, how could you tell?
Because
He's so much older.
I read the spoilers.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the only way I recognize that one too. Like,
Okay.
saw it in a video this morning. So.
Okay, because I was like, who is that kid? I was like, who the fuck?
Because
Is...
I didn't recognize him too. Because there was like, okay, I know that
For a
person.
split second, he looked like Andrew Garfield. I'm like, are they making a real meta Spider-Man reference here? And then for another split second, he looked like the guy from
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård. Yeah, he looked like him, and I was like, wait a minute, is he in the Marvel universe somewhere? I thought maybe it was an Easter egg for something that's coming later that we don't know about. But I guess you said it was the kid
Yeah.
from. I guess that would be that'd be the age, right? Because Iron Man 3 came out what 5 years ago. 6 years, 5 years ago.
7 years, yeah.
No, it was less than that. It was 5 years ago, something like
Yeah.
that. It wasn't no, because 11 was the first Iron Man, so it must have been about 5 years ago. Which the math would add up. I guess he apparently didn't disappear. He grew up. Well, that answers the question I was going to ask about later. So we
But
came
yeah,
back.
That basically means the entire cast of Spider-Man died and it's come back now 5
Yeah,
years later.
that does mean that. That's
So,
convenient, isn't it?
right.
Except for Aunt May. Aunt May got older.
Seriously, dude, I don't
Um,
think that's right.
Yeah.
Marissa Tomei always just ages just good.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Oh, speaking of aging great, Russo. Renee Russo. Holy shit. What is she, 60?
At least.
Oh, she's gorgeous. I'd break that hip. Wonderful. And that was a whole cute bit, too. That was where the Bill and Ted thing really came up. That's the story we haven't talked about yet, when Rocket and Thor went back to Asgard. In his slippers and sweater. His robe. Because if Jay were to time travel, I would picture him like that, wearing a robe and slippers.
Yeah, I'd give it up. Alright. So I want to go back to the Soul Stone.
What about the Soul Stone?
So there's only one Soul Stone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they get it. Hawkeye gets it, and then Thanos comes and gets it
Later.
later. How does Hawkeye put it back? Because it doesn't seem like it'd be something you could put back.
I don't see why
I mean,
not.
it's how does Captain
And Hawkeye
America
didn't put it back. Captain put it back.
Well, it doesn't seem like something you could actually put back. Like just throw it over the cliff, and then the Red Skull appears again. And has to
Red
get the
Skull's like,
Guardian again.
do you have a receipt? What?
Yeah, it's like you can only get that thing once. Only one person can get that thing. You wouldn't
Unless
be able
it's
to-
like Ready Player One, where anyone who completes the challenge gets the key, but only one can have it at a
Or maybe
time.
that's how they bring her back. I want her back. I'll give you back the stone.
Trade you. Yeah. Well, then, does the time travel... That's the other thing that happens. Like, does that mean that Gamora
Right.
traveled forward from her... They did. They traveled forward. Her, Nebula, and Thanos traveled forward.
Oh, we don't get to that.
Okay,
part yet, 'cause
okay.
That's like, oh.
Well, but all that plays into one of the last.
But then if she
scenes.
doesn't die, how does he get in the sun in the first place? And I'm gone cross-eyed.
If who doesn't die?
If Gamora doesn't die.
Okay.
She
Again,
does.
we need to wait till
We
the
need
end
to
of the
wait till we
movie
get to
to
that,
get to
okay.
that part.
All right. So, okay, we're at Thor and Asgard, Thor and Rocket. Rocket's little speech is pretty funny. About trying to get him hyped up, and he's like, "Yeah, I've got it.
You
bye," and walks away.
The breakdown
Yeah.
Thor was
Yeah.
having. Yeah.
We need to suck that out of her.
Come
No,
here,
I'll suck
come
that
here,
out of her.
whack!
There he goes. Come
great.
here. Right here.
Right here, smack. With the other hand. He knew it was coming. Like, of course
Yeah.
he's gonna hit him.
Still funny though.
It is funny. I wish they'd have done something with Natalie Portman. I think they could have made a gag there
Yeah.
somewhere. It seemed
It was
like
nice
they
to
just.
see her there, but I would have liked to see a little more with her.
I think they just used footage. I don't even think they got her on set.
Yeah, I thought it was
I think
just
that was footage.
Yeah, I think so too.
She during one of the movies.
No,
No, she pretty much gave up on Marvel when
Right.
Marvel fired one of the directors from one of the movies she was in
Patty
with Thor.
Jenkins.
And once
Oh.
that lady got fired, she Natalie Portman threw a fit and basically was
Now Jenkins went on and did Wonder Woman, didn't she?
Correct.
Yep.
so.
That was stupid, wasn't it? Okay. I can see that. Yeah, I noticed they didn't get Anthony Hopkins back either. But he's old as fuck now at this point. I just watched Ragnarok the other day. I think when Anthony finally dies, they're going to play that scene in Ragnarok at all, like the Oscars and whatnot. It's that great scene of his. I think it's his best death scene ever in any movie he's ever been in.
Did you notice how they had Thor look like that almost?
Yeah, they made him look more and more like his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And,
did
and
notice.
that's actually kind of homage to the old man Thor in the comic books. This look that he had is kind of what the old man Thor looks like.
I've only ever read Old Man Logan, so I didn't know. I've never read Old Man Thor.
There's a spin-off that's like that.
Okay. Yeah, he did look like a chubby Aquaman there for a while. Like, it's kind of a little much. There's going to be beer on the ship. What kind? I turned to Derek. I'm like, "Cause you got to have standards." What game were they playing? Was it Fortnite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there's some sort of a Avengers Fortnite tie-in going on.
Oh, I
so
see.
Somebody on one of the things I'd seen had complained that it was a little too much product placement. Whatever.
Besides
I didn't
Fortnite,
really-
though, what else was there?
I
I
don't
didn't
know.
Paper
notice
football.
much, except for the big Audi
Yeah.
that they were
Twice.
driving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
The Audi
That's
was
true.
the-
Yeah,
was
the
the-
Audi.
Well, then there was what was Stan Lee driving? A Cougar? What was he driving? When he cries, "Make
Oh.
love, not war," or whatever he yells at, which is a weird cameo. I kind of felt like that one was strange.
It was pushing.
I don't know if it was a Cougar or
It was
Mercury.
strange.
Doesn't
It's
make
Mercury,
cars
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah,
So
Stanley, it's fine.
I think my goodbye to Stan Lee is the one from Spider-Man. The one from actually Spider-Man Spider-Verse. When he gives him the
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's his real last one for me. But there was this rumor going around that they'd filmed a bunch of them
Yeah.
ahead of time. But I've seen it confirmed that this one's the last one.
Right.
This is the last one he's in. Yeah, that was a big bummer. I don't think he got enough cheers in the theater when that happened.
I don't think people knew who it was.
I
Oh,
did.
no,
Really?
there's plenty in the one that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but our theater, I'm pretty sure most people didn't recognize it.
Like,
If you don't recognize his voice,
kind of bums you out a little bit. Like,
at what point are they going to stop showing this guy in these movies?
Thinking of Captain Marvel, his cameo in that is great because he's reading Mallrats. He's reading
Yeah.
the script to
Yeah, right.
Mallrats, which is just amazing.
Yeah, it cracked me up too.
I
I don't know who
which
I
Kevin
was,
didn't know about until he saw it.
yeah,
which
and
is
I don't
hilarious.
know who I was watching that movie with, and I had to lean over and I go, "Did you get that scene?" And they go, "No," and I said, I had to quickly break down that he's in Mallrats briefly for
Which is the first time I'd ever actually seen him. Was in that movie.
Mallrats.
Yeah, I'd heard his voice obviously on the old cartoons,
Mm-hmm.
True Believers, the whole Spider-Man and Friends thing. But I'd never seen a picture of him. Because I wasn't a Marvel kid. I was a DC kid.
okay.
So I knew who he was because of the cartoons, but not because of the comics. So the first time I ever saw the man on film was in Mallrats.
And you're saying they didn't even know that it was in the?
Kevin didn't know. He had no idea till somebody told him.
Was he happy?
He also didn't know that he was in Ernest Cline's Ready Player One. They name drop him in there too.
Yeah.
Not in the movie, but in the book.
Yeah.
He didn't know until somebody told him. But anyway, so we've done all the time travel stuff. Thor's had his moment with his mother, and everybody's made it back. So I agree that the gauntlet that they made was a little convenient. And was it just me, or during the whole hot potato scene, during the fight when they're tossing the gauntlet back and forth, that some shots it was the red Iron Man version, and some shots it looked like the old gold one? Mm-hmm. It seemed like it was like,
yeah,
It felt
it
like
seemed
it.
like that when it was damaged though.
I guess.
Yeah, I noticed that when it was fell down the earth or wherever the hell. Like I was running with it.
Just considering that it was, and I didn't think about it during the scene. I didn't think about that. Oh, this is a Iron Man, a Tony Stark created gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
So when he stole the stones from it, I wasn't very surprised at that. I was like, there's got to be a way he can get that
Interface.
interface and get
Yeah.
it back. But considering Tony's armor is the way it is, why couldn't they have just flown the gauntlet to?
Yeah, because they had what was it? Was it 3? When he had his suit that flew to him wherever it was going.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you think they'd have done that. That's a good point. But then again, that gets us back to Infinity War. Like, well, you'd think that he'd use the sling ring to cut his hand off. You know, so
Right.
I guess they're just plot convenience.
Yeah, it was
Or
nice-
the
it
Air
was nice
Force
way
to take down the
highlight all
ships,
the
you know, whatever.
characters getting the
Well, you're really bent on this Air Force thing.
I just, when you guys, it could be the Navy, I don't care. Doesn't matter.
So let me get this straight.
The sco-
Same.
A ship shows up out of nowhere, and you think they're going to make some reference to National Guard planes being
it's
launched?
the Accords, man. They can't do it
What does the Sokovia Accords have to do with the Air Force?
because it's all about getting into into other people's shit. You have to ask permission. Why are they going to send the fucking Air Force? Why is Captain America?
You're right. They wouldn't send the guard because that could be posse comitatus or whatever.
Oh yeah, we
Like,
wouldn't want that.
Oh, I have a headache. So anyway, okay, we're at the point where they've got the stones now. They've made their own gauntlet. Of course, Banner makes the argument, and they've been hinting at this for a while, that there's a lot of gamma radiation in these stones. So, which is a real spaceborne kind of radiation thing anyway. So when he makes the comment about he was made for this, I was kind of wondering if they were going to pay that off a little bit more somewhere else. They kind of really didn't. They just kind of let it go. I think that was kind of a writing convenience kind of thing. I actually would have rather seen Hawkeye do it or something. I think that'd have been really cool. Or at the point when they're doing the hot potato thing and say Spider-Man accidentally puts his fist through it while reaching, like, oh crap, you know, and something really goofy happens. I think that would have been interesting.
Or actually pay homage to Guardians of the Galaxy when actually Nebula actually did use the gauntlet.
Yeah, she did. That's right, she did. I remember that in the
So
trade paperback.
yeah. So I mean, in the original Infinity War Gauntlet comic book series, she's the one that actually got a hold of the gauntlet.
And that brings me to another point. They made such a big deal in Guardians of only very strong individuals can handle an Infinity Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yet, Hawkeye wakes up in a puddle holding the Soul Stone. Just holding it. Like, oh, no big deal. It seems like that didn't fit.
Yeah,
Did anybody
you
else
kind of write that away though, because how did he get it? Like the stone was granted to him. It wasn't like he took it, so maybe okay, so maybe.
So there's like
now
He-Man
it's
with the
his.
sword, like I have the
Yeah,
power.
I can see it, but there were several other scenes where like, his hand should like
Well,
disappear
at least
now. Right?
Yeah.
at least with the Soul Stone, that one you actually had to go through some sort of a trial
Maybe-
to get.
Yeah, to earn
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, to earn
You had
it.
to earn
He
it.
was worthy, just like Captain
Captain
America
America.
is worthy enough to hold the hammer.
Well,
Now,
he
okay,
is,
that gets me
goddammit.
to another thing.
Yes,
Oh,
that
here we
pays
go.
homage too.
Thor's in Asgard in the past. He tests to see if he's still worthy. He is, which is cool. I thought that was
Yeah.
funny. But then they go forward in time again. The hammer's gone! Like, the hammer's fucking destroyed. She what's her name? Hela destroyed the hammer in that timeline.
No, he took it
He
with
took,
her.
he took the hammer from the past.
Yeah,
Before.
Which is
remember?
why Cap-
So he stole it from his younger
Yes,
self?
Yes.
yes.
And then Cap returned it with the
Oh,
stone.
that's right, because that's why he had the hammer with him. Okay, thank
Yes.
you. I missed that part. I was like, why?
Because the reason why they thought about that is when Hawkeye came back with the glove mitt,
Yeah.
they realized, oh shoot, this can work.
Yeah.
So Thor's like, why not?
That was definitely the best payoff of the movie, I think, in terms of stuff that was set up movies ago. Because I always loved that scene. I mean, Age of Ultron's amazing anyway. But just that scene and the look on Thor's face, like, what? And I was kind of hoping they were going to pay it off with Vision, because Vision had the ability to pick it up too. I was really kind of hoping they would hint at least that Vision, because I kind of felt bad that he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, the guy that played Jarvis
Yeah.
in the behind scene, isn't that the same actor who played him in the TV show?
I don't
In the
know.
Agent Carter show?
See, I don't
I
know.
think it was.
I think it's the same actor
Spoiler, but yeah.
who played Jarvis in the Agent Carter show, which is weird because the Agent Carter, Howard Stark, was played by a completely different actor, a younger actor. And then the guy from Mad Men, what's his name? I don't remember his name. Plays him now. He plays the older version of him. But I'm pretty sure that his chauffeur, Jarvis, was the same actor who played him in the Agent Carter TV show. Which is kind of, I like that show. It's too bad it ended so soon. Okay, so we're getting closer to the point. Let's go ahead and move forward and kind of wrap this up a little bit, and then we'll get into some nitty-gritties later that I don't have to worry about being on video. So they've traveled back in time. They've got the stones. They've done their own snap. Now, why was Ant-Man looking at the birds? Did he just notice that there were more birds suddenly?
Yeah, that's what.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's
Like there was an
what-
atrium there or something?
Mm.
Okay. So that was cute. They bring people back. They don't... I like how they didn't just go around the world and show people reappearing. Instead, they did it off camera.
You got a phone call.
You got phone calls. You got more birds. You got all this other stuff happening. And then, of course, Thanos, as you know already, because Nebula has figured out that he knows. She tries to warn everybody. She gets captured. It's pretty obvious that her and her younger self switch places. So as soon as everything seems to be kind of working out, although I will say this about the test. When they first tested the gauntlet, when they put it on the Hulk, and they're all kind of standing there putting their shields up, hide, and then they close the building. Now, doesn't anybody remember from Armageddon where they say if you blow up a firecracker in your hand and open your hand, you get burned, but if you close your hand, blows your whole hand off? Is it just me? Or is shutting all those blast doors going to make that into a giant nuclear bomb?
Yeah, but I don't think they were worried about it exploding as much as they didn't know what was going to happen. If shit starts coming out of space, you should probably keep it in here.
Which is exactly what happened, actually. Shit starts coming out of space.
Just the wrong way.
And how is it that every single one of them survived that devastation?
That was the one point in the movie.
Right.
I mean, I get a movie is the willing suspension of disbelief,
Yes.
but it's like,
Yeah.
so Hawkeye survived a building drop.
Yeah, dude,
You know,
yeah.
it's like you see like Thor and the Hulk, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I guess. Hawkeye, hell no, come on.
No.
It's all about where
He
you
gets
stand,
up his
man.
little sore, nothing
Right.
broken
Yeah,
at all.
right.
Then he does a marathon running with the gauntlet.
Hey,
Well, he
the
survived
gauntlet, let me
everything
grab
else
that.
all in the fucking Marvel Avenger movies. Might as well survive this.
And like I said, they made him into the biggest badass of the movie in the very beginning, so I kind of, I'll forgive it a little bit. Of course, I'll get to the whole Falcon, Captain America thing later. That was the other thing. So Captain America apparently ages like the rest of us. He just ages the same
Well,
rate.
at this time, because he
Okay.
remember because the reason why he didn't age is he was frozen.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that you'd think he'd be a little healthier at the end, but we'll get to that later, I guess.
Well, the man was already at this point well over 100 and some odd years old.
Possibly,
so,
yeah. So,
And that's not going to mess up the timeline in any way.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
final point, yeah.
Maybe
So
it
So
will.
they blow up
Maybe it
Avengers
won't.
compound, whatever the hell they call it. Meanwhile, Captain Marvel's still like nowhere
I
because
know.
like you said, we forget about her for half the movie.
Right.
She's off in space, and she makes a good point though. She makes kind of it made me feel like the Green Lanterns. Like there's all these other planets that do not have heroes, and I'm running around taking. There's the movie I want to see where she's hopping around taking care of the universe. So they blow up the compound. The scene with the Hulk trying to save wherever they're at, trapped, and Captain America. The three of them get into a fight with Thanos, which I thought was awesome. Was it Thor, Captain? Who else?
Tony.
No, Tony.
Was it Tony? Yeah, of course it was Tony.
The
duh.
big three.
I'm starting to lose track where we're at. So I'm trying to think where we're at. So that's where Cap picks up the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty good fight. That was actually my favorite fight of the whole thing. That or the sword fight with
Because
Ronan
actually-
and-
Well, instead he was able to get it to fly to him.
Well, actually, it was before
Yeah.
that. Before that, it was Thor heading out with both Stonebreaker and Mjolnir.
That was a funny gag. No, you get the smaller one
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little later though.
after they'd gotten their butts kicked for a while.
Yeah.
And that just attests to Thanos. Like he can stand against the three of them. I'd say at their top, except for Thor. Thor's a little less than he normally is.
Oh, he's a super heavyweight now, though. So
Super heavyweight is right. Man, I swear, I was looking at that going, oh my god, I look just like that.
Bruiser class.
So what you're saying is there is a chance.
Yeah. There's a chance I'm worthy. But I agree, that was probably the money shot of the entire movie was, and of course y'all knew it was coming. As soon as you saw the hammer, you're like, well, of course it's Captain America. Because Vision's not there. He's the only other one that could do that. Boy, I would have liked to see them pop in with Beta Ray Bill. That'd been funny. Like, what the fuck? I'd have lost my mind if they'd done that. So anyway, so Cap and what was going on while the fighting was going on? Hulk was trying to save who? He saved Clint.
Yeah.
Right.
Clint took off with the gauntlet. Those alien-looking things. Because didn't that make you think of Aliens when he shot the arrow down the hallway and they were all in the corridor like this? I was like, oh, this looks like Aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah, it's part of the Black Horde.
Yeah. So he's taking out a bunch of those guys, beheads them and cuts them in half and shit. And like that's when I was like, oh yeah, they made him the badass. So that's going on. This is when.
Yeah.
Well, this is when the big fight happens.
It's the start of the big fight. It's kind of
Yeah.
simultaneous. It's going back and forth.
Ant-Man turns into Giant Man.
But well, you're talking still in the basement where Hulk is holding up the
Right.
structure.
The building,
That's-
yeah.
Ant-Man is still down there, and what's War Machine?
Right, because he
And raccoons.
Raccoon.
crashed out of his armor.
Right.
That's right, because Rocket was stuck. Brody drags his carcass out of his armor and gets Rocket out. Then he finds his old like Iron Patriot armor or something,
Right.
which they don't show. He just shows up later with it. And then that's when the big fight happens. That's after the snap. Doc Strange knew exactly what was going on as soon as it happened, which they don't show on camera. They totally allude to off camera. Because Peter says it. That's when he says, he's like, yeah, then Doctor Strange said, we got to go, and they need our help. And he's doing that whole rattling thing. That was a, like, great exposition delivery. Like, in 10 seconds. Like, oh, okay, got it. We're on.
It's like, I start falling asleep, or as things go weird, and Doc's saying, oh, Doc Strange told me it's 5 years later. Okay, we got to go.
Moving on.
Yep.
Got no time to talk about it. That was a great scene. I was kind of hoping to see just some nod to some other hero that we don't know. I was just either would it be a Fox one or a Marvel one, or they're all Marvel, but just something.
Oh, like an X-Men
Yeah.
sort of thing,
Maybe
or-
even if not an X-Men, like just some other hero we haven't seen in the
Surfer.
MCU yet. Yeah, Silver Surfer. That's a perfect example. Well, that might not be perfect because Silver Surfer could just snap his fingers and make anything happen, whatever he wants, because he's more powerful than Captain Marvel even.
Nova
Huh?
would have been great, but there would have been too much, I think, explanation for most people.
Nova Corps.
Yeah.
I think they could have gotten away with that though, because they did show the Nova Corps.
Right.
And I
It's
think
already-
Nova showing up just briefly, like they did with Green Lantern in the Justice League movie, you kind of go, "Oh, I get it."
There was a lot of talk that there was going to be other superheroes involved in this movie. Nova was one of the big ones, though.
And
Well, he's
now-
one of the most
yeah.
popular ones that isn't in the MCU.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But there was talk that they were going to introduce him in this one, which they didn't. But
No.
Maybe that was
the
just too
big
much.
talk. Yeah, huh?
Maybe they just thought it was too much.
You know,
I mean-
he might have been in there. We just missed it. It might take watching it a few times.
Like I
to
said,
catch.
you still have Guardians 3, which it'd be good to bring Nova and Adam Warlock into
Right.
the
They'll
the
be
fold.
perfect introductions for that.
That's true. Now, especially
Or-
with Thor, with the
Or
Guardians,
if
yeah.
they feel like there's some sort of successful, because Captain Marvel, which we haven't gotten into, they could decide to make a second one of that. Another
Well,
way
they're
to
going to
bring-
do a second Captain Marvel, yeah.
So there's another way to bring some of the more of the
Cosmic power.
cosmic
Yeah.
characters back into it.
Galactus!
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, I've
But
already
if you're
heard-
going to do that, it's got to be the
Silver
Fantastic
Surfer, then it's got
Silver-
Fantastic Four. Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
And that God, I hope they get it right this time.
Well, I wouldn't mind them doing another Green Lantern movie and getting Parallax right, but whatever.
I know. Thank you.
But it's another story.
I'm pretty sure that they're not doing another Green Lantern movie.
Dude, if you've read the
I
ones...
love Green Lantern comics.
There's so many stories in there, and fuck Hal Jordan. Bring back any of the others. Like you could, I want to see Guy Gardner in a fucking movie. I really do. That that would be the rated R DC movie they could do.
Yeah.
Would be Guy Gardner. That'd be fucking great.
Or even the Jason character.
From
What?
DC.
Yeah, the black dude. Is that Guy Gardner?
Oh, John Stewart.
John Stewart.
John
There
Stewart.
you go.
Yeah, and that he was a Marine. Yeah, that actually would work too. But at any rate, we're jumping into DC.
Is there a difference?
Yes, there's a difference. There's a very, very big difference. I will say that DC has the better animated movies. The Marvel animated movies are horrible, except for
DC
Spider-Verse.
still hasn't figured out how to make a good movie. So.
What's that?
DC still hasn't figured out how to utilize their characters.
Not for live
They
action,
do
no.
make the good cartoon movies, though.
Yeah.
They do.
I really enjoy
Dude.
them.
Did you guys see Reign of the Superman? It's good.
That's the latest one, right?
That's pretty close to the latest one.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one. The last one I
It's
saw
a direct
was-
follow-up to Death of Superman.
Yeah,
It's
seriously,
great.
I've
It's
seen it.
really great. And
Last-
it's not exactly like the comic, but it's pretty close.
The last one I just seen was Justice League Dark.
That one's okay.
I like it
That's
because
all right.
I like the dark stuff. So
I did see Reign of the Superman. That was good.
What's that?
The Reign of the Superman.
Oh yeah. It was. I thought it was great. I liked Superman Doomsday about 10 or 11 years ago. It was all right, but this was way better. They did such a good job with this. But anyway,
let's get back and wrap this up.
yeah, let's wrap this up because we're going to cut off the
getting into a
video.
lot of different topics.
I know. Yeah, you're right. We're starting to branch off. So we're at the final fight. The other people all show up. The snap has been reversed. Well, we're actually not too long. There's a lot of action. Like there's not a lot to talk about in terms of dialogue.
It's all action.
A lot of action stuff. Kapow, this, that, and the other. I
Right.
felt.
Here's my question.
All right.
I need you to answer this.
Why me? Why can't
Because-
you look at all these other
Nope.
geeks?
This is all for you.
You're the biggest geek in the
No,
room.
I'm not.
So,
That's a compliment, by the way.
young Thanos jumps forward into time. Then he dies. How does he jump back to time to take all of the...
So, young Thanos jumps forward in time.
Jumps forward in time before he gathers all of the crystals.
Right.
He's like, why do I have to look for
Because-
him?
Then he
Avengers have him.
dies. How does he jump back and get all the crystals
Man.
or get all the stones?
He doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to. It's a cosmic reset.
It's not even that. He knows they're all there. He knows how to get there, and that's what he does.
I don't even think it's that
He
complicated.
gets the red, whatever it's called, off of whatever his name is. Now he's got access to jump forward.
Particles.
Thank you. And he doesn't need to collect them. They're already all in one spot.
Well, that's how he got there. What Jay's saying is, how does he die in the future and still be in the past?
And still get back to the past to use the.
Here's
the
how,
gauntlet.
and this is my answer to this, and it's completely ex machina. It really is. Tony's God at the point when he gets the stones. He reset whatever he wanted. Now, of course, Hulk makes a comment earlier, like, I tried to bring that back and couldn't, which means there's limits. And I don't know if it's an intelligence thing, because Bruce is at least as intelligent as Tony. I don't think it must be a will thing. It must be because Bruce is not exactly Hulk is, but Bruce himself is not exactly a willful person. He's a strong person, but he's not a willful person. Fucking Tony's willful. Like, he has and of course I'm going on the Green Lantern tangent a little bit. He has the will to snap his fingers and reset everything to where it actually happened, but then didn't happen. He's God at this point when he takes the stones back from Thanos. I think that's how Thanos can die in the future and it doesn't fuck up the past.
Because if you think about it, the way Thanos was talking, the young Thanos who now realizes he has all the stones, not the same Thanos that did the original snap, he's now realizing my thought process that I was thinking about how I wanted to handle things is obviously ended badly for me. My future self, right? So he's got this God complex himself. I believe that it's kind of like what Rob was saying. The moment Tony said, I got to make this right, whatever was going in his head was, how do I make this as if we took care of Thanos in the first place?
Why don't we Cheadle is kill Thanos as a baby with the strength of
Right.
thing? Oh my god. First off, dark.
Well, that's kind of a Deadpool thing.
It is. Yeah, with
I mean,
Hitler, he's like,
how do you
I didn't know
erase-
this was going to be so hard.
Yeah.
You know, how do you erase Thanos out of existence? So maybe that was the thought processes ahead. Because you don't know what he thought by getting rid of the Black Horde and everything. What was his thought? As if these entities never existed. And if he does the snap, okay, Thanos never existed. So now you reset the stones. I don't know.
Can't do that because then everybody would have aged instantly.
Do you remember the episode of the X-Files when he finds a genie and he tries to come up with the perfect wish? Where he writes the whole thing out paragraph by paragraph, because that's what genies do. You wish for the Nile, and they take the Nile and they dump it on your head and kill you. Mm-hmm. So he was trying to figure out the exact way to do that. I think when Tony alluded earlier and said, "I want you to reset everything to this time. Don't change the last 5 years,"
Right.
because he didn't want to lose his window, his happiness window. And I think when he got the stones and snapped his fingers, that was his plan. He changed everything to that point without changing the last 5 years. So you're right. He reset time at that future point,
Right, so-
which means all the rest of that stuff actually happened. He's God. He changed it. That's what I think, because that program was already in his head.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me to the point of the whole overarching 11 years of story. It's Tony's story from beginning to end. It really is, and we're kind of at that point now where it comes to an end. Captain Marvel shows up. Thanos does that great Power Stone pull and knocks her on her ass, which I thought was fucking great. Because in Captain Marvel, she was way too overpowered in that movie. They finally, him and Tony are going at it, fighting. Tony manages to steal the stones, which I thought they should have made some kind of like thief lift joke. I think they should have put something in there, like picking his pocket or something like that. Which Thor kind of does in Ragnarok when he steals the controller to his zapper. Kind of does that same thing. But he comes back, you're right, the stones fit. There's obviously, his nanites can adapt themselves. The nanites are probably pretty much like Borg at this point. They can just change themselves in whatever they want. They're able to house the stones. I didn't realize at the time, I knew it was going to end. I knew months ago that it had to end with Tony. It's his story from beginning to end. He has to be the one to finally take Thanos out. That's why I knew Captain Marvel wasn't going to be the one. And neither was Thor. I knew it had to be Tony, or it might have been Hulk. That's the only other person that I would have accepted, because Hulk got his ass kicked in the first movie. And that's a whole catharsis thing. But I knew, as far as Kevin Feige has been planning this story, basically he threw the dice and said to Favreau, if Iron Man works, we're going to do this whole thing. But if it doesn't work, hey, we made a good movie, moving on. And that's what happened. It worked. So Kevin's been doing this entire storyline. Starts with Tony, and it's going to end with Tony. And I think he was exactly the one to finally defeat Thanos. Yeah. He had to be the one. And I knew that from the moment I saw Infinity War, when Thanos said, basically, he respected him. I hope people remember you. Because Thanos saw Tony as an equal, even though physically they weren't. And I think that was... It only could have ended that way. Captain Marvel got knocked out of the picture. Thor put up a good fight, got knocked out of the picture. Cap, who was the one guy who could stop Thanos for a second in Infinity War, which is a fucking amazing scene, didn't succeed either. The shield was destroyed. All that was gone. So that just left Tony. And Tony got his wish. He basically made a wish. Everything changes from this point forward without changing the last 5 years. But then it cost him his life in the process.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it ended right there. And of course, then they do the whole Lord of the Rings wrap-up. Every scene has its own wrap-up. Yeah. Now, you said you'd looked up and said there was no end credit scene.
Yeah, there's
right?
no
Nope, there isn't. Apparently the end credits was like the ringing of a hammer when he was initially forging the Iron Man armor.
Oh, a scene from the first movie?
Yeah, so supposedly that's all it is just that.
Huh.
And it's just the sound of it. I didn't stay all the way through the credits of mine because I
We
already
didn't
looked it up and was like, okay, I don't need to.
There was also photos of the cast.
Right.
Like,
And that was cool. Yeah. That was cool. I did stay through that.
Yeah, we didn't stay. We just left. We knew there wasn't a scene.
Gotta go pee.
Yeah. So we've reached the end. I think that while Captain Marvel was kind of necessary to set up her existence there, I don't think it was that great of a movie. I think it was really missing... You know how in Thor Ragnarok, you get that great chilling scene... Not chilling, but like hair-raising scene of they start playing Immigrant Song. He gets the lightning back. He's coming down with the hammer. It just makes you get excited. Or in Wonder Woman with the trench scene, the same kind of thing. I think Captain Marvel was really missing that. I don't think there was anything exciting.
Mm-hmm. I think Captain Marvel was more about Samuel Jackson, the creation of the Avengers, than it was Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that's
I agree.
in a way, yeah. And I was hoping they would do with more Captain Marvel, but that's really what it was.
Yeah,
it was
I
more
agree,
about the
Because
Avengers.
he was part of the final scene in the funeral when he walked out. Like, this was my team. Like, look what I built.
Oh,
Yeah.
so, and to go back a little bit, the whole women empowerment scene.
I know.
Oh, I forgot
They
about
pay the
that.
homage.
I didn't. I just didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah.
Not that I have anything against that, but
No, I didn't.
come on.
It was cute.
No.
It was such a fan service though.
It was,
It
but
just-
the entire movie, I mean, really is a fan service.
True, that's
So,
true. And I shouldn't criticize, because when they do it right, I love it. And when they do something I don't care about, I'm like, eh. But it was a little contrived, I felt.
Oh, no, it's definitely contrived.
But what I loved about it, and this is what I loved about most of the things in terms of group scenes, was just the sheer fact that you have these people all in the same shot.
Right.
It goes back to Age of Ultron when they had that great splash scene when they were all jumping in the snow. And that great, it was like a splash page. It was like a freeze frame splash page. Or in the first Avengers when they do that circle around the team. That is such a comic book shot. And I think they were doing the same thing here. With all the gals. And it is the kind of thing you do in a comic, I guess.
Right.
That you're like, hey, all the
It's
sisters.
definitely very gratuitous, but I mean, as a father to a girl who I want to be a strong woman,
Yeah.
it's kind of nice to see that and support that. And
You create a
but
poster.
Yes, but you recognize, of course, too, that it's very gratuitous. But,
Yeah.
You know.
But then again, Banner makes that joke. Well, I think this is just gratuitous, and rips his shirt off,
Exactly.
which is totally a nod. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
I mean, it's not all that subtle comment on that kind of thing.
Right.
And you're right. That scene with the girls, none of them looked sexy. They looked awesome
Right.
and beautiful. Not a one of them looked sexy. If you watch Justice League, if you watch Wonder Woman and then Justice League back to back, you'll notice that Wonder Woman is shot from the neck up in Wonder Woman, and in Justice League, every camera angle is right up her skirt. Every single one. Every time she walks past the camera, it's her ass. And it's like, what the hell? So I can kind of understand why they wanted to have the scene strong women without them being sexualized at
There
all.
weren't a lot of the women weren't really all that much throughout the entire movie until that one scene, anyways. Because the one lady from Wakanda, she survived, but she wasn't in the movie until the very end.
True.
Yeah.
Except for that
So,
one
In
scene.
the garage.
Once they brought
Yeah.
them all together, I was like, well, I forgot she'd lived, but she wasn't in the movie all that much.
In fact, I think the sister lived too.
Yeah.
She wasn't.
No.
There's a rumor
No,
about that.
the sister died.
Yeah.
Okay.
They,
Yeah.
Yeah, they
you
say
never
confirm
see the
that.
sister. You never see her die. They
Because she's
never-
in the picture scroll when they go through the pictures of who's missing.
Oh,
She's in that scroll.
okay.
She's in there. But so was Lang, but they didn't know Lang was in the quantum realm.
Right, but there was never any confirmation that the sister actually died.
No, I think Marvel had confirmed
Did they?
in some interview that, yeah, she was gone.
You know, they talk.
Shuri.
Either way, that one lady definitely lived,
Yeah.
and she didn't actually show up until they came through the portal that Doctor Strange created.
No,
no.
she was there when they did the
The
video
virtual,
conference.
She was there.
Yeah. She was there in that opening with Rocket and
All right,
War
10
Machine.
She
seconds,
was
my
somewhere in
fault.
Africa.
Yeah.
she was
Yeah, the
there. Yeah.
general.
She had a couple
Yeah,
lines.
the general.
So
Yeah.
And then I like the whole.
But she's not an Avenger, so she wasn't part of the.
So
Yeah,
my,
she's in Wakanda.
Yeah.
but
So-
she's a survivor.
my question is where is Gamora now? How they ended it up? She was not.
I
on,
think they're gonna leave her in Guardians the way she is now,
Which
moving forward in
means-
time, which means she's not with Quill at all.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know him, which I think will add an interesting dynamic
Well,
to
it
that.
goes to the
hold-
fact that she didn't disappear with the snap of the finger. She died, and anybody that died, just like
Loki.
Thor's mom,
But Rocket even makes that comment. We've all lost people. Some are permanent, some aren't.
yeah. So she was a
Well,
permanent.
they're still searching
permanent
for her because they referenced that at the end of the movie also when
Right,
he's
Quill is looking for her.
searching for.
Well, but that's because she traveled forward in time. Her and Nebula, well, the young Nebula's dead now, and so is Thanos. So of the three of them that traveled forward, she's the only one still alive. I think they're going to integrate her into Guardians as herself, but without all the memories of being a Guardian.
So it's like
Well,
Gamora pre
Younger.
He's got to win her back again.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Which would be funny.
Yeah.
And to see the whole thing, he's trying to win her back and compete with Thor at the same time. Because you know by the time we get to Guardians again, Thor's going to be buff again. He's not going to be fat Thor.
I don't know
Right.
if he'll even be
Oh, he will.
Oh, yeah.
part of
Oh, yeah.
Guardians 3.
There was,
Oh, yeah.
Why else would they set that up? I mean,
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense
Right.
otherwise. And that's a
Just-
frickin' frack kind of. That's going to be funny.
because if Thor was just looking to kind of, be his own person.
It
he
is,
would've just-
and I get all about money, but
Gone
it'll
by
suck because it's a great side joke, but it's not a movie. This
We're back to the Minions argument.
the Minions, a great
Yeah.
side joke, not,
a
a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be right. That's possible.
I'm not saying Thor can't show up, like save him or whatever, but an entire movie of those two just going back and forth would not be
What do
that
you mean?
entertaining.
Thor and Quill?
Yeah,
No,
entire-
but that's great because it also Thor does much better in a group setting where there's a little humor, and Guardians have been. I mean, that's their forte is the humor.
Well, he's going
for it.
straight from Ragnarok to Guardians,
Correct,
which is a very
which is
similar
what I'm saying.
palette.
Right. Exactly.
he did say he wasn't wanting to do Thor serious all that anymore. That's
Yeah.
why they did Ragnarok.
Right.
Because Dark World is so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So it's like it makes me a little bit want to go back and see it because the references to.
I
Dark
did
World
watch it
from
recently.
here, and I'm like, I don't really want to go. See
Other than knowing that the stone was this
Right.
instead of a stone, that's
Right.
all. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like nothing else is important. Except for the fact that they flash back. It's kind of like watching Back to the Future. If you watch Back to the Future 2, never having seen Back to the Future, you'd be like, the fuck? So watching it for that reason is the only real reason to do it. Because like I said, I did watch all 21 of them in the last month or so. And I'm glad I did, because all the references in the movie I got. So we're pretty much at the end. Tony sacrificed himself. I felt like his death scene was a little... Let's put it this way. Nimoy did it way better. I don't think his death scene was that great. Not because of Tony. Because I think the fact that he couldn't say a thing is as scary as it gets. Because Tony not being able to talk is like me not being able to talk.
I kept thinking like the Deadpool. He's gonna start talking.
Yeah, I know. I kept waiting for that too.
Deadpool
Like,
too.
oh, this is really taking a long time. Which I just watched the other day too. And I kind of felt, you're right. I noticed that too. I noticed that. It was sad, and the fact that Pete was there, and the fact that I think Gwyneth is what didn't sell it for me. I just felt weird. I don't know. It didn't feel impactful enough. But now the scene with his hologram with Happy, and that was like, starting to get a little bit Clint. Not that one. And that's the other thing too. as much as I do like the latter half of the movie, more so than the first half, I'm a crier at movies. Like, I watched Bicentennial Man the other day. I hadn't seen it in 10 years. I fucking bawled with Robin Williams. And, of course, the fact that he's dead now really added to it as well. I was like, oh, you know. But this one, I was like, no, not there. It just didn't hit it for me. So I felt like his death was a little lacking. I think the wrap-up scenes kind of made up for it a little bit with the hologram and then with Captain America. And I already predicted he was going to go back in time and live with Peggy. But, like you said, doesn't that change everything?
Yeah.
Well, but if he completely, you know,
Stayed out of everything?
right?
Yeah, but that's kind of how it looked, though. By the way he went back, and they were just in the house, and it kind of gave you the feeling that he just retired.
Right.
Just, I'm done.
Because that would make sense, because if you look at all the scenes, I thought about this at the time, with Peggy, both the show itself, which is while he was in the future, and then in Ant-Man, and then a couple of the times, and even in this movie, when she showed up in the 70s as older, those could have all still happened. He's not a part of any of those scenes at all. So you're right, if he retired and stayed home, then he could have foreseeably not affected anything. Except he got to nail the shit out of Haley Atwell every day. Which I'd be like, hey, I'll retire to that. Alright, I think we've hit the end.
Yay.
Yay! So what's our final consensus about Endgame? We already kind of said that Captain Marvel was kind of not great. I'd say it's like a nudge above Dark World. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I
mean, it was enjoyable. But
it was enjoyable, but it lacked that punch moment for me.
Yeah.
And then for Endgame, how do we feel?
Yeah.
Tired?
I'll watch it again.
I think it's going to be like Ready Player One or like Infinity War, where you have to kind of watch it a few times to really catch everything.
Yeah. I may have to watch it another couple times see if it'll wow me even more. But for now, it was a good movie.
And that kind of leads me to my final point about this movie, is that I won't be buying it on DVD because I'm going to get Disney Plus. It comes out in November.
Who buys DVDs?
Well, I mean, I won't be buying it streaming. I've been buying streaming. The only time I ever buy anything on DVD now is when I want it in 3D. Like Aquaman. I gotta have Aquaman in 3D. Like, that movie's awesome in 3D. I saw it in 3D in the theater, and it's just, it's amazing. But like this, I won't. No, I'll just buy this on streaming. But I won't even do that because it's gonna be on Disney Plus shortly after it comes out on DVD and streaming. So there's no point in buying any Marvel movies anymore because now they're just gonna be on that if you're gonna get Disney Plus.
I think it'll depend on what their pricing is. But
It's only like $6 a month.
yeah, well, that's reasonable.
Right now.
For right now, you're right.
Yeah, sorry.
It is-
Disney's gotten outrageous for the parks and everything else lately have gotten very, very expensive.
Well, that's...
Well, on that
They're a
note,
little bit ruthless in their business.
I think we should take a break.
Just price everybody else
Take a
out
break
of it.
right here because I think we're going to come back and talk about the Star Wars trailer.
Yes.
So let's take a break right now. We'll turn off the cameras. We're done with the video. Bye, everybody.